What's up, guys? Hey, welcome to another episode of the College Prep Chat. Today, I'm joined on the line by Coach Lewis Caralla, who's the Director of Strength Conditioning for the football team at Georgia Tech University. Coach, man, thank you so much for jumping on here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is great. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So let's kind of kick things off. Give us a little rundown on your background, who you work with now, and how you got there.
So I grew up in Tampa, Florida area, played football my whole life, and then played Division II and Division III college football. But towards the end of my career, my junior and senior year, when I moved home for the summer, I did an internship at South Florida with Ron McKeefrey, who I still look up to and is still one of my mentors. Going into my senior year that summer, I did an internship at Virginia, University of Virginia, for Matt Bayless, who's the head guy at Notre Dame now. And he was kind of like my big brother in this whole journey I've been on. So when I graduated that next December, he called me to be his GA at Mississippi State because he just got that job. And I was a GA there for a year and a half, got my master's, and I got a full-time job actually at Georgia Tech as an assistant 12 years ago for 1 year. Then I went back to Mississippi State as a full-time assistant to work for Bayless again. That only lasted 6 months, and then I got a call from Michigan, and went to be an assistant there. And I was there for 3 years. So that was the longest I've been anywhere really until this point. But that started my head guy journey. So from Michigan, I got a head job at North Texas for 1 year. Then I got fired. And then we just didn't win enough games. Louisiana Lafayette called, luckily. And I got fired 2 years later because we didn't win enough games. And then the following year, I got a head job at Buffalo. And I was named National Strength Coach of the Year for college football. So what I've learned on this journey, and I always try to tell the kids that I coach in different ways, is sometimes you're going to work as hard as you can and not get what you want, but that can't be why you give up. You know, if you believe in what you're doing and you believe it long enough, eventually something good's going to come. And I did believe something good would come. It was just hard to see in some moments, but now I'm at Georgia Tech and thankful to be here.
That's awesome, man. Overcoming adversity and kind of going through the process, but having that belief in your mission is so important, especially for like the athletes that we work with. We have a lot of our athletes who are going through the recruiting process right now. And it's like, you know, they are waiting to get their first offer. And it's like, you just stay the course, keep working, keep giving it everything that you've got. As long as you believe in what you're going to do, like good things are going to happen as long as you kind of keep that pedal down and keep working, man.
That's right.
I love that, man. I love that. So let's jump into kind of our question round. The first one that we're asking everybody, and one thing that we really want to talk to athletes and anybody who impacts a high school athlete is on the behavior side of things. Let's say a new athlete comes into your program. He's been there for a couple weeks, and you're sitting down with the head coach, and you're telling the head coach, you know, about all the new athletes that are with you. What do you want to be able to say about an athlete on how they show up and how they perform in your program?
Kid's early to everything he does. He stays late and does extra work beyond what's required of him. He listens. He's very coachable. He's in great shape. He can hang with all of them. He's strong enough right now that it's an impressive first impression of his strength levels. He can bend well. He changes direction well. And you can tell he's going to be a leader because he just cares that much.
I love that, man. You know, showing up prepared, right? Being physically prepared and mentally prepared. We talk to our kids a lot about, you know, the first impression and the value of a first impression, because, you know, it's not just the first impression on you, and it's not just a first impression on their position coach or the head coach. It's the other 100 guys on their team that are going to kind of see how they show up.
Right.
I love it. I love it. One thing that you mentioned on there is, you know, you can tell that a kid's going to be a leader. When you're looking at, you know, leadership traits, like what are some things that stick out when you say, like, okay, this 18-year-old showed up as a true freshman and we know he's going to be a leader? What are some of the traits that you see in an athlete that you can say that about?
Just a humble kid that keeps his head down, but you can tell has a lot of fire to him. So like a kid doesn't have to say much at first, and he shouldn't, honestly. But you can tell, like, the way he works. See, when kids show up in great shape, they give themselves an opportunity to even have a platform early on. Because if you can stand on the ground that you're putting in, like all this conditioning, if you can breathe better than the guy that's been here for 3 years, or better than a couple guys that came back from break that just expect to play this year, man, you got such an edge on them. And I think over time, I think that's what a leader is. He holds himself to a high standard so he can hold other people to a high standard. And it will never be the backwards way. You can't just say things to people if you're not living that life. So I think all around, I mean, I could keep going into detail, but that's really the most important part. If you're going to want to lead people, if you really want to lead, you got to live that way.
Yeah, 100%, man. It reminds me of when I was doing my first internship, I was at University of Colorado under Jeff Pittman. And we had 2 running backs that came in that recruiting class. One was the #1 recruit in the country, 5-star, every offer in the country. And one was a 2-star. His only Division I offer was CU. And we did the conditioning test, right before we got into fall camp. It was 300-yard shuttles. And the 5-star he couldn't finish the first one. The 2-star was in the front of the pack with everything. And when everything was said and done, the 2-star was the all-time leading rusher in Colorado history. And the 5-star, he transferred after the first year. So it's it doesn't matter where you come from or your accolades, but showing up prepared and kind of that give a crap level, how you show up, and that's phenomenal, man. Now, one thing that you touched on in there is kind of the physical standpoints, an athlete being able to bend and having the right strength levels. What does that look like for an incoming freshman for you?
So like I don't test a lot of stuff, but we'll test them on like a 225 rep max, because I do that because it's a combine test and it's a great indicator of where they are upper body strength. Mm-hmm. And from there, I love testing vertical jumps. It shows me how powerful they are with the body weight or body fat that they have. And then after that, just kind of, we'll test their body fat. But we'll also watch them squat. We'll watch them lunge. We'll watch them do a reverse lunge and a rear foot elevated split squat and an overhead squat, and things that we can just gauge on things that if a kid has tight hips, tight ankles, tight quad, like it's kind of, we got to rewire the whole thing so we can get almost close to where we want to be maybe a year later. Mm-hmm. It's hard to break those 17-year-old habits of just tightness, so we have a lot of tight guys, but we have a lot of guys that have improved a lot because we have all these charts up of, hey, your calves are really tight and it's preventing you getting all the way down on those squats. So every day we're going to stretch the end of the earth out. And I think that helps a lot. But yeah, if they can bend well, I really think that gives them an edge on technique, on basically everything.
Yeah. Are you guys a program that uses Olympic lifts? Do you guys clean and all that?
So we do Olympic pieces. So not the full cleans a lot. We do a lot of the triple extension, barbell shrug pulls from the floor, and then a high pull sometimes. We sometimes hang clean. It's just when I'm dealing with 100+ guys, as you know, I don't like spending too much time on worrying if they're catching the bar correctly, because it's not the biggest piece of my program. We're gonna move on. If I get the triple extension with a med ball, with a barbell, with a trap bar, man, I'm good. I don't have to worry about any wrist flexion or anything. So then we can just move on into the nuts and bolts. But we do always do an explosive movement. Normally don't test it, just besides vertical jump, maybe broad jump.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, I only ask. I know a lot of our guys, they want to get good at the Olympic lifts and the power clean, and we use that in our program. But we don't want to ingrain a technique that they're not going to use, at that where they're really going to. You know what I mean? Yeah. Awesome. Now, in terms of nutrition, what are some actionable tips that you can give a kid that maybe is looking to kind of maximize their performance through nutrition?
I think have good habits and have a plan the night before. So if you're going to bed that night, getting ready for the next day, I always like having my clothes laid out, or for example, I sleep in my work clothes. So it's like my PJs anyway. I just wake up and roll out and walk out the door. But it's the same thing with food. Like if you don't go to the cafeteria every day and you're on your own, you got to have some type of idea of what you're eating for breakfast, what you're going to have for a snack, what you're going to eat for lunch, what you're going to have for a snack, what you're going to have for dinner, and then what you're going to have for a night snack. It's really not that hard, but people never do it. So it becomes complicated over time where, you know, you're trying to catch up too late. So I think with the hydration piece too, just carry a jug of water around with you all day. So it just becomes normal. You'd be surprised how much less soft tissue issues you have, and just the stronger and the more stable weight gain you have and healthy lifestyle that will bring on without you even thinking about it.
Yeah. It's kind of those, almost with everything. It's like putting together the right behaviors and habits that are going to allow you to be successful, whether it's nutrition or in the weight room or in life or in academics or anything like that.
Yeah, it's not like I know everything about nutrition. I just know the layout of how it should be so guys can maintain a healthy lifestyle.
Yep. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Now, let's say you had a time machine and you can go back and talk to yourself at 16, knowing that you went on to go play collegiate athletics. What are some tips that you would tell yourself or advice that you might give yourself to put yourself in a better situation when you did show up in college?
Man. Okay. Be careful who you hang out with, because like it literally identifies who you are. It doesn't matter if you're riding in a car with three guys that are doing the wrong thing and you're not doing anything. You're getting labeled as doing something wrong. So that's really the biggest piece when you're that young and impressionable and have friends that just do whatever they want because they don't care. You gotta watch yourself, man, and you gotta have a good heart and a good conscience to say no. I wish I said no some more when I was younger, and I wish I led more people with the example of hard work. You know, I don't think I did as much as I could, and I had the platform to do it. I was a starting quarterback, and I just feel like I have regrets when I think back to what I could have done instead of what I did do. And just goes back to, you know, watch your circles that you're with, and then have the ability to say no and stand up for yourself when you don't feel comfortable doing something. Yeah,
that is so true, man. We have so many kids in here that guilty by association comes along for them, and we talk to them about, like, you know, sometimes the truest form of mental toughness is being able to say no when you know that it shouldn't be, but you know that it's not cool. You know.
Yep.
And that stuff goes along to like what we talked about with nutrition and hydration. Like, you know, being able to be that guy who's like, 9 o'clock, I'm out. You know, I'm going to go home. I got to lift in the morning.
Right.
You know, saying no at the party, making the smart decision, not getting in the car when you're not supposed to. And, you know, we have one of our guys who's a freshman up at college level now. And they're in a summer seminar class, and some of his players were his teammates were being disrespectful to a teacher, right? He might not have been, according to him, he might not have been, but he's lumped into that. And so now he's dealing with the consequences of it, instead of, you know, hey, maybe I'll move to the next row over, or I'm not going to sit next to these guys next time in class. There's real layers to that. Not just as a youth athlete, but as a human.
Absolutely. And I think one more thing that I thought of as you were talking, just kind of be a good teammate. You know, like, I think there's so many guys right now that are worried about themselves and all the pressure that they have on themselves, and all the parents' pressure on their own kid, and get the offer and get the look, and I'm going to get mine. And I get it. You need to, but it doesn't happen without the other 10 doing their job for you in football. Yeah. I know that. And I wish I did more intentional thinking about being a better teammate and caring more about getting through to other people that I need. Mm-hmm. And I wish I did that more.
Yeah. I think that's something that anybody can use, right? Is, you know, leading by example, and then leading from the front, right? Pulling people with you. If you're the quarterback of your high school team, and, you know, you've got some guys that maybe don't know the playbook, or they're showing up late to the lifts, and then first off, you've got to set the example with your behaviors, but then also, you know, being able to hold them accountable when the time comes.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely, Coach. All right, man. We're gonna jump into our rapid fire round.
Oh boy.
We're gonna go through 5 questions and kind of get an idea for how you think on things. Now, if you're working out, what type of music are you training to?
Rocky Balboa or inspirational epic war music.
Okay. Have you heard the Have you heard the Absolute Motivation mix on Spotify?
No.
It's a pretty good one if you like that, kind of almost like that epic movie themes with some speeches in the background. Absolute Motivation is pretty good.
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. All right, now, if you're training yourself, would you rather bench press or back squat?
Bench press.
Bench press? I'm the same way, man. Now, you might have already answered this, but what do you give as the best sports movie of all time?
Give what?
As the best sports movie of all time.
Oh, man. I think Remember the Titans and Rudy. Those two always get me.
Mm-hmm. I figured you were going to go Balboa. You mentioned it earlier. You got the picture up behind you.
I mean, yeah, it's sports, but like, I don't know. I can't. I always think of like football when I think of sports, but definitely Rocky IV.
Oh yeah, Ivan Drago.
I mean, that's the music I think I've listened to the last 15, 20 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have these kids that have never heard of Rocky. I'm like, we're gonna do like a weekend where everyone's staying in here and we're gonna watch it up on the TV, and we got to fix some problems there.
Right.
All right, man. Now let's say a kid comes into your program. Would you rather him be able to do 20 reps of a wide grip pull-up with great technique, or 20 reps at 225 on a bench press?
God, that's a pretty good question. 20 reps on the bench.
20 reps on the bench? I like it. All right. And then the last thing that we're doing on this is, can you leave us with a quote or something that inspires you, or a mantra that you live by?
Yeah. Lazy people do a little work and think they should be winning, and winners work as hard as possible and still worry if they're being lazy. And I think that's the way to relate to anyone. I mean, if you want to really make it, if you really want to go somewhere far, you got to constantly be paranoid about your own work ethic, constantly be paranoid about your own potential of what you could do. Start admitting more of what you're capable of. And yeah, sometimes it is embarrassing when you have to admit that because of what you're not doing right now. Yeah. It's tough. I do it too, but I just think too many people right now want stuff and don't want to work for it. So that's not what life is, man. That's not what's waiting for you.
Yeah, absolutely. That reminds me of the last guy that we talked to, this Adam Lang, who's down at McNeese State. What he left us with is like, the greatest gap in life is the difference between knowing and doing, right? And you might know what you need to do, but are you doing it, right? Are you intrinsically motivated, and are you willing to push to it?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you jumping on here and sharing your knowledge with us. I think there's a lot of stuff that high school athletes, high school coaches, parents, or anybody who impacts the life of a high school kid who wants to work with a guy like you, there's a lot of stuff from this that I think that they can take from it and use as actionable things as they kind of continue their journey along their path to playing college football, hopefully.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, that's the age you need to, work your hardest and do your best and get good grades and get in good habits, because once high school's done and you grew up with all your buddies and that time is over, you get to this level and it's like, we're going to be close and stuff, but you didn't grow up with these kids and you didn't, you got other stuff now you got to think about. So enjoy the time that you have there in high school and appreciate it, and appreciate the people that are helping you right now too, like parents or uncles or grandmas or whoever is raising you. I would not take that for granted, because there's a lot of work that is very inconvenient that makes your life convenient.
Yeah, you're part about appreciating it and appreciating the process. Like 97% of high school athletes, once they get done and those lights go off for the last time on Friday nights, the rest of their life is an off season. And if you don't take that time to appreciate it and enjoy the process and the people that you're doing it with, then you're going to be 40 years old and you're going to look back and wish that you had. And thank you so much for your time. I truly do appreciate it.
Thank you.